So the lesson that I want to give everyone in this video is that good things come to those who wait. It's no secret that my passion for alarms has been rekindled. I've acquired a lot of stuff. I've been taking on this behemoth project for the last few months. I've gotten one of these, I've gotten some new things, but along with that, brought some very amazing things that happened this week. So first and foremost was the issuance of my fire alarm license. I've been emailing TDI back and forth for a while, asking about the status of my application, and getting redirected and like, oh, you need to contact this this agency, this organization, blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, whatever, I'm not gonna get anywhere with this. And then I get an email from a licensing technician that they sent a deficiency with my SF500 form, which is the employer application form. Because in Texas, you have to first pass both tests and you have to be employed by a registered firm to even obtain a license. You can renew your license even if you're not with a registered firm, but you cannot participate in any license activities until you are employed by a registered firm again. So state law is very strict about that. So with that, I've also acquired some other awesome things this week. Not licenses and not NICET, nothing like that, not yet anyway. But I'm gonna start with this right here. This came from a building that I've been doing work in occasionally, but I've been going in there a lot more because we're really trying to make it a permitted building because it's been non-permitted for a while. Changing out all the devices to system sensor ceiling devices, so obviously this was next on the chopping block. So I was like, no. My coworker actually took this. I requested that I be the one to go over there and do it, but they sent him. So I was like, okay, whatever. He left this in the ceiling, but the Commander one down the hall was taken out completely, but whatever. So I redid the wiring because they had 4-conductor, because they had horn knacks and then strobe knacks back then. So I ripped out all the 4-conductor wire because it wasn't being used. And it was mounted on this box, which very obviously housed something else before this. Especially because this actually had a trim plate around it. So, yeah, this came out after I took this out, and I was very happy. And I will show you why here in just a little bit. But I've been eyeballing this for a while because it was just so out of the ordinary. You never see things like this anymore. And it's an electromechanical horn, or no, it's a completely mechanical horn. It is electronic, but mostly mechanical. The way that this works is just like if you were to hook up a relay to activate through the common and normally closed terminals. If you hooked your positive wire to the common and then normally closed to one side of the coil and then your negative wire to the other side of the coil, guess what? Your relay is going to be going back and forth as long as it's got power. And that's exactly how these work. That's also how bells work, is that exact same way. And whenever you energize a coil like this, it generates a magnetic field in the center. And that's how a rail gun works, although rail guns also use plates side by side, and they have different charges. So if you put a live wire on one, neutral wire on the other, the eddy currents coming from it go this way, and the eddy current coming from it goes this way. So if you use the 3-finger rule, your wire is going this way. That's kind of how it works. So the eddy current is what pushes it. But anyway, we're not here for that. We're here to look at this. But that is how these work. It's constantly pushing a plunger back and forth, which vibrates this, which is why they call them vibratone horns, as you can see right here. It is pretty much a Simplex 2901 9806 in its original form. And this goes behind the strobe. It just doesn't want to stay put. But you can see it is a Federal Signal 450D, and it doesn't say how many amps or how many volts, so I would say it's not up to code to even put this back into service. Another reason it needed to come out, but also I wanted it. But thankfully I got it. Now this probably housed a Wheelock horn strobe plate before it had this. There was probably a demo done pretty early on in the building's life, and they left this box in, and this was in the ceiling along with this. So I was like, oh sweet. So I undid all the wiring, you know, lots of 4-conductor wires that just weren't needed anymore. I took those out, rewired it, put a new J-box on the wall above the ceiling, and got it pre-wired, pre-boxed, and now it's ready for the new devices to go in. So that is awesome. Changing everything out. Like, literally down the hall from this one was a Gentex. I was like, how is this even allowed? Like, my goodness. And I understand, like, if you do a renovation in one part of the building, only that part needs to be brought up to code. The entire building doesn't need to be. But I would think syncing the strobes would play a part in that at some point, because you need to have them synced. But a lot of places get away with it somehow. I don't know how, but they just do. So what use might I have for a box like this? Bam! That's right. A Simplex 404060 with a 4051. Oh man. This was another amazing acquisition this week. And I was so stoked when I saw that these were on the site that these came from. Thankfully, they were left on site. They were not taken off site. They were not thrown in the trash. They were left in the electrical room, which, as soon as I heard about it, I was like, do you have a picture of the panel? Because what my coworker was describing sounded like a Simplex 4208, but it was way too small to be that, and now I know it was a 4207, and I was like, oh man, mid-70s, that's gotta be. It's like, yep, it's dated 76. I was like, did they have those stainless steel horn lights? It's like, I don't know. Like, were they metallic? He's like, yeah. I was like, did they get thrown out? He's like, I don't know. And I put my hands on my head in just pure terror that these might have gotten thrown out. So, yeah. But when I went there, I checked in, said that I was there to recover some fire alarm equipment. I got cleared, and they let me into the electrical room where this was sitting, as well as this and this. That's right, not one, not two, but 3 4060s, and 2 of them had back boxes. That's right, 2 of them had back boxes. This one did not, which is why I jumped on the opportunity to take this one. And you can see it's got holes in the sides because these were actually ceiling mounted. They had bars attached to them so that they would rest on the ceiling grid. And I have a whole video about, you know, ceiling boxes. But, so yeah, these were ceiling mounted, which is extraordinary. I've never even seen or heard about these being ceiling mounted anywhere. So that's pretty cool to find out. But wow, just look how vibrant the red is on this. That's probably the prettiest red I've ever seen, other than my Sylvania red light bulb, which is in storage right now. But yeah, these things, y'all, I've been looking for one of these for the past 12 years, and one of these sold on eBay very recently, like within the last month, actually within the last week. It didn't have the horn, it was just the plate with the lens and the, whoops, the light's gone. Just with the lens and the light, no horn, just that alone sold for almost $400, and the seller was based here in San Antonio. I was like, geez. It started at $250, so yeah. So it just goes to show these are not cheap, not anymore. You know, anyone that knows what they have is not going to sell it for cheap. It's just like gasoline. You know, people aren't going to sell it for cheap when they know they can make more. And if one place raises their prices, then most other places have to as well, because then that'll drive demand to their places, and then they will sell out faster, and they will make less money. They'll lose money because they could have made more money by raising their prices and keeping the demand rather equal, like evenly distributed throughout the area, you know, the city, the community. So if you're the only one that has low gas prices, you sell out quicker, and then the other stations get busier and backed up, and you have sold out, and you're making less money, and you're kicking yourself because you could have made more money and not sold out, because if you're sold out of gas, you're losing money. So yeah, no one's going to willfully sell these for a dime, let alone a dime a dozen. But yeah, these things are amazing, and they are part of the 40, 50, 80 family, or whatever it's called. If it's 40, 50, 80, I know these are 40, 40, 60s because they do not have the fire lettering, though I could put it on there very easily because I do have a vinyl cutter. And this very, very nicely fits on this back box. See that? The bottom of the lens does hang off a little bit, but I just cannot get over how cool that looks on that box. Even if it doesn't match the faceplate, it still looks really slick. This thing looks sweet with the black box. Like, I don't know what it is about it. It looks even better than these, even if these are, you know, they have even hangage over the edges. I bet you if these were black, I would have the same opinion. But this one, you know, since it's like, you know, like a smooth finish as opposed to this kind of galvanized finish, just looks a lot more slick. And I prefer this, although that would be an issue for a lot of people, this. But if this is mounted on the wall, you know, with the box flush, and this isn't flush, the only way you would really see it is if your head is small enough, you can put your head against the wall and look up and actually see this. So, but I have to give a big thank you to my coworker for telling me about these. because as soon as I found out, I booked it over to there and acquired these. And then right after that, I had to drive up to Seguin to drop off a package to a buyer. And it turns out he's an enthusiast as well, and he actually invited me into his room just to check out his setup, and I was blown away. Like, he did everything that I had wanted to do back when I was, good God, 12 years old. Like, you know, the paging system, just for fun. You know, he had it all, man. You know, I was really impressed by his knowledge and, you know, his setups. He even had a weather radio, and I was just like, wow. So of course I told him about GoPJ and his weather radio setup and how he had it set to activate his alert strobe whenever it went off. But it activated his alert strobe and it latched it, which was really, really cool. So I do have plans for these, so please do not ask for me to sell these to you. Alright, even a stupid amount of money, I will not accept it. Alright, I have plans for these. More than likely, one of these might be going back to my shop, just for the novelty. Or it might be this thing, who knows. But yeah, I do have plans for these, so please don't ask, or I will be very, very mad. Alright? And if I do sell them, it's not going to be for cheap. Alright, so you're better off just looking in scrap yards or dumpster diving, which is illegal, by the way. But yeah, that looks pretty sweet. So yeah, my passion's still going strong, and given that I've been looking for one of these for 12 years, I am very pleased, to say the very least. So yeah, and these mounts, you know, the screws go through those holes, and I'd have to flip this horn this way, which I've already done with this one. You see the hole right there? It would line up with that right there, that little screw cap, and that's how you would secure it to the box. You can't secure the plate by itself to the box, because I'll show you. The horn just comes right out. It just slides in, and you can see there's no way to mount this. It's not like the 2903 light plates at all. See? But now, I put this back, you can see the horn is the thing that actually secures the whole thing to the box. So once again, big thank you to my coworkers for telling me about this. We were doing a system replacement on a 4207, and yes, I did get a pull station from there as well. I got a 425130 with the brake glass still in it, probably original from the 70s when it was installed, which is very, very cool. And it's actually the same pull stations that the hospital I was born in has. I still have them. So anyway, those are my acquisitions of the week, along with my fire alarm license, which is very exciting. And yeah, definitely got some sort of crazy passion here. I'm not an obsessed idiot, I promise you that. And if you want to try and look for these back boxes, here is the model number of that. You look up Simplex 5919. Good luck getting anything out of it. And these boxes, they've got the screws in the opposite corners. but it actually works. As you can see, you just need some really long screws, like some 2-inch 832s. But you could change these out for another, you know, thread size. But anyway, that's it. I'm done with this video. Hope y'all enjoyed. And if y'all get one of these, if anyone acquires one of these themselves, absolutely make a video about it. I'd love to see your experience and how you got it. So, have a great day. I will talk to y'all soon.